Everybody please rise for the flag salute. Oh, I'm sorry, call the meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Route of egress. In the event of an emergency, all people may exit right or left from this room and proceed to an exit door. All doors will open from the inside. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Haledon Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published in the North Jersey Herald News, the board's official newspaper, on January 11, 2023, and November 13th, 2023. Notices of this meeting indicating date, time, and place were posted publicly on the door of the main entrance to the school and filed with the clerk in the municipality of Haledon. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Here.
Mr. Coletta?
Present.
Mr. Guzman? Mr. Martinez? Mr. Moxell?
Present.
Mr. Ramadan?
Here.
Ms. Barrett-Digliosi?
Here.
Mr. Webb? And Mrs. Issa.
Here. Okay, so the presentation that's on the agenda tonight is actually going to be rescheduled for the next meeting. And I don't believe we have any correspondence. So we're going to move down to the approval of prior minutes. Can I have a motion to approve prior minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan? No.
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett-Digliosi?
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the hearing of citizens on agenda items only?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett-Digliosi?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the floor is open. If anybody would like to address the board on agenda items only. Is there anything, Mr. Miller? Okay, can I have a motion to close?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Moved by Mr. Motzko, seconded by Mr. Abbasi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Coletta?
Yes.
Mr. Moxell?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
Ms. Barrett-Digliosi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, moving on to reports. Thank you, everyone for joining us. I hope you all had a very nice Thanksgiving holiday and break. I want to start off by taking a moment to acknowledge the passing of our former superintendent, Dr. Miguel Hernandez. Dr. Hernandez served both Haledon and Manchester for 4 years before retiring, but had recently returned to Manchester in an interim capacity as assistant principal. Dr. Hernandez was the superintendent during my first year as a board member of the Haledon Board of Education. He had a good rapport with board members and strove to work with the boards as well as teachers and staff. But what I remember most about him was that he was always present at many, many HPS events, from school plays and holiday concerts and Read Across America events to graduations, celebrations, and even occasional PTA meetings. It's noteworthy that when we did our search for a new superintendent, students from HPS were surveyed about the role of a school leader, and many had some moving remarks about Dr. Hernandez, including that he cared about students and their success and took time to speak to them personally. On behalf of the board, I extend our condolences to Dr. Hernandez's family and to our community for this loss. Moving on, I want to congratulate our newly elected school board members, Mr. Motaz Ramadan and Miss Angelina Cuadrado Amaro, and of course, our re-elected school board member, Mr. George Guzman. I look forward to beginning or continuing to work with all of you to make our district the best it can be for our community, but most of all for our students. Lastly, I'm very much looking forward to hearing how the first session of the Parent Academy goes tomorrow. And I'm wishing everyone a very productive and insightful discussion. And I do want to add, even though Mr. Webb isn't here, I just want to add a congratulations to Mr. Webb and his wife on the birth of their first child. So I will turn it over now to our chief school administrator, Mr. Waka.
I didn't know that about Commissioner Webb, but congrats. Well, and I echo your thoughts about Dr. Hernandez. I got to I was lucky enough to be able to go to his wake. And the first thing that was so him was he was dressed in a Washington Redskins, uniform. And it was everybody in the gallery was wearing that, and it was cute. And the second thing that struck me is how many students, former students, were at the wake. It really was a beautiful thing for an educator to see that he had that much effect. But I miss him. He was a good dude. I learned a lot from him. I'll start my official report. I want to start by letting the board know that I also am excited for the first ever Parent Academy that's going to be here in this room at 6 p.m. tomorrow. I sent a text message and a robocall and a YouTube promoting it. And the tricky part was we wanted to make sure we didn't have too many people where it'd be tough to have a meaningful discussion, but not too few where there wouldn't be a meaningful discussion. And we got about 30 to 35 people RSVP'd for tomorrow night. And I think that's the exact hotspot we wanted to hit. So I was really happy with that. Well, tomorrow's going to be focused on first about how a school budget's made. And then, the ESSER funds were used for social emotional learning initiatives. And then also how we're using this money to kind of limit or reduce the impact of HIV, harassment, intimidation, bullying. But once I'm going to go through that with Mr. Spizzato, and then we're going to turn it over to our buddy Kathleen, who's very good at facilitating. And ultimately, she's going to give this board a report about what she believes the parents or staff are saying about what programs we should prioritize to bring back. And I know that, at our next board meeting, we're going to be looking to once again run the free after-school enrichment program. That'll be on the next agenda. And, we're still going to be paying for that still out of the ESSER, but that's something that we know parents are going to care a lot about. And that's going to be discussed on December 11th when we do our Parent Academy for extended learning and for learning needs. I want to give this board an important update about our expansion/construction project. Knock on whatever this is made out of, I think we're off to a very good start with the construction. Most of the demolition has been completed, and the noise level so far has been a lot less noisy than I think we had anticipated, or at least I had anticipated. They're still doing some concrete cutting, and they're still cutting pieces of steel bars, but very soon we should be able to transition into the excavation stage of the project. And I know that later on this week and early next week, they're going to begin pouring concrete in certain areas for the elevator. Every 2 weeks, Lamika, myself, and Jermaine meet with the construction project managers and the architect firm to kind of review what's going on and discuss the logistics of each phase. But so far, things have been going as planned, and we're grateful that we're off to a strong start. But I do need to take a moment to personally thank the staff and the school community for their amazing attitudes they've had during this time of construction. I know that we have Ms. Panzera, Ms. Bonacoli, Ms. Quimby. All three of those classes are sharing the library space. And I thank them for their professionalism and their attitude and for their success in making this work so successfully. I know that we have Ms. Bonner and Ms. DeSesso's classes sharing one room, as do we have Ms. McMahon and Ms. Whittick's class sharing one room. And again, I want to thank them for their professionalism and their skill in making it work so successfully. I also want to thank Ms. Henderson and Mr. Gavin and Mr. Ray. I know Mr. Gavin and Ms. Henderson. They're now teaching on a cart going classroom to classroom, and that's something that's not always easy. But I want to thank them for doing such an amazing job. And I want to thank Mr. Ray for successfully moving his classroom down the hallway and doing such an amazing job in the STEM lab. I also got to thank the lit team because their offices were moved and now they're teaching in hallways and corners. And they're doing a great job and they're still finding a way to deliver high quality instruction to the kids that need it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't personally thank Mr. Trito and Mr. Sposato. They've been paramount in helping the logistical troubleshooting for this project, and there's no way we would be successful without their efforts. And I got to give a tremendous shout out to our staff because parking was always a hot button issue at HPS. And when you lose about 40 spots, it's going to be even trickier. But I love the generosity of the staff. We have monthly parking lottery, and the staff's going to find out what the December lottery is going to be tomorrow. But I've heard a lot of stories about how staff members that got parking spots, they offered the spots to their colleagues that may have a bit more difficulty, walking or transporting long distances. And I think that shows the extent of kindness that this staff has and the level of character that this staff has. So I'm just really proud to be part of that team. And most importantly, I need to thank our custodial team, led by Mr. Mann. We've asked a ton of our custodians since COVID. And now that we're hopefully in the final leg of COVID or past COVID, the first thing we do is we ask even more of them with the construction project. So I know we're asking a whole lot of our custodians. And all I can do is thank them for keeping the building safe these last few years and keeping us safe during the construction. The third item, this board can expect, like always, that December will be a very busy month at Hail the Public. We will have holiday concerts. Our PTA gift shop's going to start next week. We'll have our choir attend the Hailden Senior Luncheon. We'll do the board council, what do you call it? The Santa Claus driving around town in the back of the thing. And there'll be a whole bunch of activities like always. So it's always an exciting time of year. So December is going to be good and we're going to look forward to jumping into it. And here's some interesting news. So I sent the information about why our overall instruction and performance score went from 77 to 67, despite our test scores going up an amazing 12%. And it's because this year they've counted students' attendance rates as 1/6 of that score. And I think that's awful. And here's why. Because we've been instructed by the state to tell parents, hey, if your kid's feeling ill, or if your kid's not 100%, keep them home. And our parents have held and listened. And we're being punished for that. And what also bothers me is that, yeah, we would have much rather seen our kids in the classroom maybe more than they have been. But the fact that the scores went up by 12% with them being in the room as much as they were means that when they were there, the teaching they received was of very high effectiveness, of very high quality. But it's not just our overall student attendance rate, because most of our students have great attendance rates. It's the amount of kids that have what's called chronic absenteeism, and that means they miss 17 or more days throughout the school year. And we have a lot of kids in our community that, the parents will keep them home more likely when they feel like the flu's going around or when their kid's a little bit sick. We have a lot of people in our community that will go to their home country or their parents' home country to visit relatives during the school year. And we're a walking district, and there's some times where when the weather's a little bit iffy, we notice our attendance takes a pretty decent drop. And it's going to be a thing we're definitely going to look to address it. But I feel like it's not going to be an easy fix at Hailden. If this is going to continue to be 1/6 of our instructional score, which I think if they want to bang us on operations or governance, I could live with that. But the instruction program is always about our assessment scores, and now they're throwing 1/6 of this into the chronic absenteeism, and it's going to be something that we're going to address. But it's going to be a long-term fix to get that number down to a more acceptable number. And I just found this out very recently, so I'll get the board the exact data on this in our next meeting. But that's where we're at with that. So that's my report for tonight.
Thanks, Mr. Walker. I do have a couple of comments about what you just spoke about. So, it seems like coming off of COVID, so this is statewide, right? It's not just our county or our district. This is
Every school
statewide?
in the state is subject to this new 1/6 of their instructional program being not about the test, but about their chronic absenteeism.
Yeah. So seems kind of tone deaf coming off of COVID to have this, you know, factor into the academic portion of this. But I know I guess that's out of our hands. I don't know if there's anything we can do to like complain about this or to,
Yeah.
you know, you know, kind of, I don't know, request that it.
At the county superintendent meeting, I expressed my point of view. And that's not, me doing that's not gonna have that much of an impact at all. I do know that yesterday, the Commissioner of Education, Ms. Jersey, stepped down. And, you know, she did a lot of good things, but I think there were certain things where her and the governor kind of butted heads on some of her policies or curriculums or initiatives. And I'm hopeful that perhaps we get someone that's a little more reasonable when they understand that if you're going to tell us to keep kids home when they're sick, then you can't bang us when parents do listen to us, right? So that's where we're at.
So let's say that this is here to stay. I know that in the past, this was absenteeism was one of the goals. It was one of the district goals, like before COVID. And I guess for the reasons that you mentioned, that, you know, have some chronic absenteeism, there's some percentage of that in our students. If this is here to stay, I guess that's something that
It's
revisit.
It's going to be revisited. It might become a much more high priority challenge for us. But at the end of the day, like I showed you guys the stats last year, we're also a transient district. Some kids start when they're in kindergarten and graduate when they're in 8th grade. But that's not most students, right? We have about a 24% turnover rate, and that's not even including the kindergartners coming in or the 8th graders leaving, right? And that's each year we're seeing that. So it's going to be a kind of a paramount task. And I know what will help is one of the things Lamika is going to talk about, residency verification. But it's going to be a lot of little things that have to happen to add up to something meaningful. But this is going to be a big part of the puzzle for us for the foreseeable future, I think.
Mr. Walker, a question, with the introduction of this 1/6 of the attendance in your meetings, did you see that this impacted other districts or just our district?
So I'm not privy to what other districts' IMP scores are just yet. I was only given mine. I don't know what other districts have. Eventually it'll become public and I'll be able to see, but I don't know that for a fact.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Walker?
On the
Can, can I ask you a quick question? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to. Just following up on what Mr. Ramadan said. Is it possible at your next superintendent meeting, can we see if we can get that data? Because it does look negative on our district, but if we could show that it's something that this impacted, like say every district in the county, then it's not as hard of a thing for people to look at. You can say and justify, look, this is something we didn't know was going to be added. We were given conflicting information and it was a negative impact across the entire county, not just Haledon.
You know, Mike, I think it's a good idea. I'll email the county superintendent Shane and hopefully a lot of them will get back to me and I'll let the board know what the results are.
For the parent academy, is that a one-day thing or is it several?
So there's 4 of them. The first one's going to be just about SEL, because that's one of the branches. Then we're going to do another one about accelerated learning and learning loss. And then January, we're going to do one about extended day programs in summer school. And then the 4th one's going to be at the overall ESER. So
you made a comment that 30 to 35 RSVPs is kind of the sweet spot where you want it to be.
So.
If it's well received and word gets around and where parents want to show up, what can we do to accommodate parents?
So I think if it's well received, and I think it will be well received if we get more parents to show up. But I was thinking like the cap I was looking to put on is like 50 or 60. So I think if we got to that problem, it'd be a good problem to get to. That's actually why I kind of intentionally scheduled the first 2 and got RSVPs for the first 2. But the one in January and the one in February, I have not sent out invitations yet because I want to kind of gauge how we're doing to see if it's going to get bigger or smaller.
And then quickly on the parking lottery, if there are some staff members who highly benefit from the bullshit parking, is there a way they can be excluded from the lottery? And
so anyone that had a valid handicap placard, they were automatically put in every single time. So the ones that have documented needs, they don't have to worry about parking. It'd be very difficult if we went subjectively about where that line should be drawn. So we just use whatever the standard DMV has. But like I said, this staff is good at kind of taking care of each other when they have to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Next, our business administrator report, Ms. Augustin.
Thank you. So we had our finance meeting today and we discussed the items, a few items that are on the agenda. The first item we discussed is 12.1. This is the IDEA carryover funds. The funds for IDEA, these are funds that are granted every year to school districts. It is federal funds, especially for special education. We are using them to cover some of the tuition costs for out-of-district students. That is the basic part of it. And then the preschool portion of it is to cover salaries, benefits, and supplies. The carryover part that we're approving tonight is just the balance from the prior year that is allocated once the final report is approved to the state.
So we're able to carry those over into next year for the same.
Well, the 2023 funds were 21, 22, what are we on, 23, 24? 22, 23, we're carrying over to 23, 24 this year. So whatever balances we didn't spend from the previous year, this is what we're approving tonight.
So carry on inflation.
It depends on the grant. So for sometimes if we have a balance of 10% or more, we have to get a waiver. We allotted 3 waivers. This did not qualify for a waiver, so we were under the 10%, so we were fine. Yeah. Okay, and the other item to note was the budget calendar. This is a preliminary budget calendar that we must approve every year. As we talked about in the finance team, as the official calendar come up, we will make adjustments accordingly to that. We did note that one of the items on the calendar states that we have to have the public hearing on April 24th, but our meeting is scheduled April 22nd, so we'll just make that adjustment as it comes up. The other item is noted, is 12.1, the resolution to approve another container that we need for construction. So right now, this will be the 3rd one, and this was part of the construction move out of classrooms to store our own personal items so that it can be safe during construction. Other items on the agenda has to do with tuition contracts. We did discuss the approval of the dental event that have a dentist coming on to give services to students for free. So, and we also discussed the 8th grade January 25th fundraiser comedy. So these are the items that are on the agenda. The other item that we discussed, which we approved or put into the budget last year to hire a company to do residency verification, which was a topic that we discussed last year in the development budget process. We are on the path of getting all the details to work with this company to do a data search of all of our students here and their registered guardian's address. So this company will take the information that we have and then do their searches, their investigative searches, and then we will receive a list of potential red flags that the district could opt into investigating further. This company can do everything from just giving us a report to actually doing observations or investigations and just following to see exactly where there might be some discrepancies. So this will be a la carte according to what the district need, and then just depends to see if we have a big problem or do we have just a few issues that we need to address. Any questions there?
I do have a quick, I was gonna save it for later since you brought it up. The fundraiser with the comedian, are we gonna screen to make sure it's age appropriate?
You know, I thought
That's a good
about that
question.
because I was wondering if it was just for parents or if it was for parents and students, but it says the
Says
students are
8th grade.
invited, so I'm assuming that the 8th grade advisors have ensured that it's age
I'll double
appropriate.
check. I agree with Liza, but I'll double check.
Yeah,
Okay.
and let's hope that it has a better fate than the comedy night that the PTA scheduled had a few years ago. It was a crazy snowstorm on November 15th. That, I don't know if you guys remember that, like, 3 or maybe even, no, it was more than that. It was like 5 years ago. And, it had to be canceled and it was like, it was very disappointing, especially for the PTA member who had organized it. So let's hope that this one has a better fate than that one.
Let's hope it's fine.
That's all my report.
Any other questions? All right. Let's move on. Thank you, Ms. Augustine. Let's move on to personnel and management. Let's see. Okay, Ms. Spiridigliosi? If you could just tell us, you know,
Yes, move item 7.1 to 7.13.
so actually, we're not gonna move items yet. We just need to know.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
agenda.
Yeah,
item.
agenda items only.
Okay, thank you. Okay, curriculum and technology, Mr. Abasi. Okay, let's see, policy and public relations, Mr. Abasi.
No, nothing to report.
Okay, security and safety, Mr. Ramadan.
Nothing to report.
Okay, community engagement and outreach, Mr. Matspo.
Nothing to,
Okay, and finance and physical plant, Mr. Matspo.
we met, discussed the billing and agenda items only.
Okay. Great. So for state and county, there is a county meeting tomorrow. At 7 o'clock, it's hybrid, so it's in person. I think it's at a school in Patterson, Patterson Charter School for Science and Technology. And, or virtual at 6. If you go in person, it's at 6. If you attend virtually, it's 6:45. And I think you can still register because we just got an email today saying, you know, so if you're interested, I'm gonna attend. The topic is school district safety and security, and also our new rep, our new NJSBA rep will be there. So we, you know, she'll introduce herself. Also, there's a delegate assembly that's in person on Saturday, December 2nd, which is this Saturday. And I think that yeah, I think that there's still time to register for that if you're interested. That's at Mercer County Community College.
No, I'm attending. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Okay. Yes. You can, there was a message, an email was just sent yesterday. So if you want to attend that, I think you still can. That is one of the requirements to become a certified school board member. So, you know, if you're interested, reach out, look for that email. It was sent yesterday. So look for that email and register. And then the last thing, the three R's, roles, responsibilities, and resources, is a virtual training taking place on Monday, December 11th at 7. And that's a very good training for new school board members. And some of the topics are the functions of a board of education, board member responsibilities, services available to board members from NJSBA, strategies and tips to survive and thrive in your first year of service and where to go for help. And I don't believe this is the mandated one, but I think it covers a lot of the things that are in the first training. So that's all I have for state and county. Any questions before I move on? Okay, Mr. Merlino, do you have anything?
No report tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, then, let's start moving agenda items. So personnel and management, Ms. Spiridigliosi? Ms. Spiridigliosi, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, move item 7.1 to 7.13.
So move.
Second, okay, so moved by Ms. Spiridigliosi, seconded by Mr. Mosco. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abasi?
Can I just ask a really quick question about 7-11?
Yeah,
Is this a new job? Or is this a revision to an old job description for the lead custodian?
So we've always kind of had a lead position, and we do know that we hired Mr. Mann to take on the administrative role.
Right.
So we're looking to have a person here at this district as well as we had one at Manchester, which is not needed, but we wanted to make sure that we also look into having a maintenance person too. So we figure that we can merge those two positions into one and have this person kind of work mid-shift. So to cover part of the morning, cover part of the evening, and also handle some of the maintenance items that are around the school district so that we don't have to outsource.
Okay, so this is a job description for somebody that we want to hire, that was not.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
I wasn't sure if it was retroactive to a position that was already in place, or I was just clear. Okay, yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Ms. Baradigliozzi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay. It's my list here.
Curriculum.
Curriculum and technology, and that would be you, Mr. Abbasi.
I'd like to motion to move items 8.1 and 8.2.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Matsko. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell.
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Ms. Baradigliozzi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Finance and physical plan, Mr. Matsko.
Yes, I'd like to move item 12.1 through 12.13.
Second,
Second.
moved by Mr. Matsko, seconded by Mr. Abbasi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Ms. Baradigliozzi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to new and old business. Does anybody have anything? New or old business?
Your son texted me the date, but I forget off the top of my head, but I'll get the board the date of the Santa Claus truck.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you. Okay.
Go ahead, I'll get that.
Okay. Anybody, anything else? Old?
I think you sent it out already, didn't you?
I haven't seen it.
The calendar for it?
We'll find out.
I'll find that, and make the board knows.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay then, let's move on to hearing of citizens. I have a motion to open the floor to citizens on school operation.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Coletta. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi,
Yes.
Mr. Coletta,
Yes.
Mr. Moxell,
Yeah.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Ms. Baradigliozzi,
Yes.
Mrs. Issa.
Yes. Okay, before I'm sorry, I should have said this before we opened the floor. Just a reminder, please, when you address during public comment, please address either me or the board as a whole. Don't address anybody individually, including Mr. Waka. Okay, thank you. Anybody?
Close.
So move.
Okay, moved by Mr. Motzko. I'm sorry, moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one. Okay.
It's clapping.
They just made it in just in time. Oh, it's a clap. Okay. Okay. I guess it's clapping that we're closing the floor and ending the meeting. Okay. Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Motzko. Roll call, please.
Wait, they're saying they have a question.
Oh, they have something to say, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Please state your name and your address.
Yeah, hi.
Minutes.
Hi, my name is Raphael Pichardo. I live at 73 Avenue B in Haledon, New Jersey. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Pichardo.
yes. Can we get a crossing guard at Barber and Cliff Street? It's a busy street crossing area, and especially with the construction, there are 2 crossing guards at Cliff and Granite.
at all? Okay, thank you, Mr. Pichardo. Anybody else before we close?
I think-
Okay, so, is it Mr. Miller? Okay, so, let's just do our motion again. Okay. Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Moscow. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yeah.
Mr. Colada?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
Ms. Farah DeViosi?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just want to address that about the crossing guard. You know, I don't know what the protocol is for, getting, if there's, you know, a cause to have an extra crossing guard. Do you know, does anybody know what the protocol is?
It's definitely governed by the municipality, so it
Right.
has to kind of go through.
There-
them. I don't,
Just to interject, I know there was one there last year and she left her position because she moved out of state. So I don't know if it's something that they would be against, but we probably would have to contact the police department. They're hired through the police department.
Okay, thank you.
Start through, all right, sorry,
Okay, that would be great. Just because, especially if there was one there last year, we want to make sure all of our areas are covered and, the construction may add some, you know,
Or take away, yeah.
complications to it, yeah. So, okay, great. Okay, so can I have a motion to, we're gonna go, so we have to close first,
It's
right,
gonna be
Ms.
very
Augustine,
quick
and then close the meeting first and then go into oh no, we have to go into executive session first and then we close, then we adjourn after that.
yes.
Okay, so, we are going to go into executive session. It should, how long, Mr. Walker?
5 minutes max.
Okay, so let's say 5-10 minutes, just in case there's discussion. Can I have a motion to go into
No,
executive
are you
session?
going- Is there any,
Oh,
motion afterwards?
will there be, will action be taken?
There'll be no action.
Okay, no action will be taken. We're good? Okay, so can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Moscow. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbasi?
Yes.
Mr. Colada?
Yes.
Mr. Matzo?
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan?
Yes.
Ms. Farah DeViosi?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we're back in, folks. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
You gotta.
We have to do a motion first and then we.
Aye, motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Abbasi, seconded by Mr. Coletto. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone. See you in December. Thank you.